He's talking about suffering and how suffering is only a mental state that is self-created, self-inflicted, and that can be stopped. He is only speaking about his entire life experience, wherein he claims he has gone through suffering, which led him to become the person that he is now, which is a preacher of surrendering to the here now moment, uh, which is accepting basically the world as it is with no practical actual solution. And within that, he's only talking about, the self-inflicted suffering that we create as a mindfuck of thoughts, feelings, emotions that diminish ourselves into this turmoil that we believe is who we are. Now, within that, yes, it is able to be stopped, self-forgiven, to realize it is only a mind creation. Yet, the point is not to stop suffering in ourselves and saying, okay, now everything is just fine, and I let go, and I surrender, and I accept the moment as it is. But then, once I've worked with myself to stop such apparent self-created suffering, I have to start looking at what the fuck is actually going on in this world. Because if I look at the entire picture of where we are living in, I cannot go and tell the 5-year-old girl that lost her leg in a war to stop her suffering just by not thinking about, how horrible it was to lose her leg and to lose her brother and sister just because of a bomb exploding in her mother's house. Or I cannot go and tell a starving child, hey, you need to stop suffering by stopping your thoughts and everything will be fine. I cannot go to, there are several examples in this world. I could go on and on for an entire day, just explain how it is that this person, Eckhart Tolle, is only talking about his own experience within his own context and talking to a specific group of people that are able to afford his type of support that he's actually evidently only creating for those that have the money to go to these retirements and to eventually rebirth themselves as peaceful, surrendering beings that accept everything as it is because that's how it should be, which is one of the most fucked up things that I've heard from anyone claiming to be a spiritual teacher or a guide or anything like that. And within that, just creating a bunch of people that are seeking only to feel good within themselves, that are only seeking to be at ease, at peace within this world that is actually suffering, but not in the mental suffering, self-created state, but in the actual suffering of what it is to not have money to live, to not have anything to eat, to be abused, to be sold, to be raped, to be murdered, to be anything and all that one can understand as a crime against life. Within that, what would be the actual solution to end suffering, to really end suffering, not only stopping your thoughts and becoming this perfect person that is at ease and, almost like in a nirvana state, but to actually take self-responsibility for the suffering that we've created in this world. And within that, I agree with what he said. We are creating the suffering in this world, yes, but at what level? It's not only at a mental level, it is at a physical level. And the moment that we look at the events in this world, it's obvious that there is this type of suffering that is a consequence of the current economic, social, political system that we are living in. And we are responsible for that. We cannot just surrender to the entire system as it is just because, Eckhart Tolle told me so. Because that would be simply the definition of creating self-interest, enlightened people that are slaves in this world, really. Because once you surrender, it's like saying, accept things as they are, just focus on stopping your own suffering and be here, everything's fine, and don't look at the rest of the world because it's in a sense not real. So I would really like him to go and explain this to a starving child anywhere in the world. I mean, this is not only in a specific country or in a certain context, but anywhere. To any person that is suffering from an actual physical damage as the result of the current system that we are living in, wherein we are not supporting each and every single human being as equal as ourselves as life, which is something that he understands apparently. Within stopping suffering within ourselves, we stop suffering for others, but that is still bound to the current system that we're living in. So that isn't really a real solution, a real tangible solution for this world. And what we require is obviously not a spiritual teaching, not just saying surrender and accept things as they are, but actually now take self-responsibility for what it is that's happening in this world, what it is that we are creating in this world. And if we really want to stop suffering for all living beings, not only human beings, we have to create a new system, a new economic, social, political, lifestyle system which is based in equality. Equality as life means giving to everyone what we want for ourselves as equals. And within that, and only then, could we think of actually accepting a reality, creating a world that's acceptable for everyone. Until then, I cannot only just stop my suffering and my self-inflicted pains, which only some few people and few celebrities, in this case of Tolle specifically, have the ability to go and enlighten themselves and come out as newborn babies, while the rest of the world is just going to shit. So is that an actual enlightenment? Is that actually people that care for all as equals? No, they're only people using their money for their own benefit, once again for their self-enlightened interest, and not really considering the big picture that is our creation and that we must take self-responsibility for. So I suggest to everyone, if you're interested in an actual tangible solution, research the equalmoney.org website and realize that the solution doesn't lie only on stopping your thoughts. It isn't only about being blissful and being in a state of nirvana, if you'd like, while the world falls apart. That's the ultimate deception. And if you buy into this, it means you are really a selfish person that doesn't really care about life, doesn't really care about any other one, even though they recognize themselves as them as well, as equals. This is delusional, and this type of teachings must stop, because they are actually not promoting what's best for all, but only promoting enlightened self-interest, while the rest of the world starves to death. Equal money system is a solution. Self-honesty, self-forgiveness, to understand what we are creating within ourselves and how we can actually create a solution that's best for all worldwide.